Hello there everyone, and welcome back to Napoleon Total War 3 with this Ottoman campaign. Last time around we had two battles, one of which was against the Russians up here on the Russian front, and then I guess the more, not so much a difficult battle, but an important thing was to retake Belgrade, which I'm sure my Serbian subjects are really happy with that I took that back. So yeah, that's what we have today, and I think what we had last time. Today, however, we're gonna see about attacking more on the Russian front, because, well, the Austrian front has completely collapsed under the pressure of France. So let's go ahead and see. So we have two battles. We have this one, where Husid Ahmed is going to relieve the siege of Odessa. And then, because there's no way he's going to be able to stand against a attack coming afterwards, so since there's three Russian forces here, three full stacks, so there's no way he would be able to hold that on his own. A diversionary attack by these guys to move up and retake this, which we've held before. And hopefully that will split these armies, or maybe even, you know, send the AI haywire so they don't know where to go. And that will give me time to hopefully maybe relocate this army back here, even though this is, by all accounts, a pretty shit army in terms of what it has. These guys are not particularly good. They do have cannon, and the light cavalry has distinguished itself in a number of battles, so they do have quite a lot of chevrons. So yeah, pretty good. With that said, I think we're going to go ahead and start with a more difficult battle, because that's going to be the one that takes the longest time, and that's the one right here. So we got those guys that were defeated in the last video, the remnants of them, under Peter Bagration, and it might very well be that they're going to reinforce this Austrian force, which I don't know what the Austrians were thinking, sending like, I can't imagine they have a lot of troops, and then sending some of them all the way over here to aid the Russians by trying to retake Odessa. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and attack, and let's go ahead and do that. Let's see what the Austrians bring. So they bring 3 hussars. They bring 3 units of Jaegers, and then 3 units of Deutsche Infanterie. Actually 2, and then 1 reserve. And then we got a remnants of Bagration's army. And I've got a massive advantage in numbers, I must say. The Allied army consists of, I would say, around 1,800 men, while I am able to deploy almost, well, I'm able to deploy 5,400 men. So that's a big difference. A lot of it, though, at least in this town, is armed populace. We do have the new model army troops that have proven themselves quite well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and strike down these Austrians and relieve the siege of Odessa. The enemy has decided to take position here next to, I guess, a some sort of village on the outskirts of Odessa. And yeah, there's nothing much for it. Let's go ahead and start. Let's see where the Russians are coming from. They're coming from down the road. We'll have to dispatch troops to deal with them, since I'm more worried about them than I am about the Austrians. You know what? We'll send all the new model army down that way with the 2 Lancer units. And then the old Janissary army will advance on the Austrians. Together with the largest unit of cavalry, which is these Eflak Boyarlar. Right, let's go ahead and take a look what the Russians... I mean, they don't have a lot of troops, do they? And Bagratian's bodyguard was cut down quite severely as he moved straight into the fighting the last time around. We'll set the lances on either side. Interestingly enough, it seems as though my cannons, rather than firing straight forward towards the Austrians, are actually firing down this way towards the Russians. It is a feature within Napoleon Total War 3 that units walk faster on roads and should walk faster in column. I don't know how well that translates to single player, but they seem to be moving pretty fast. Looks like the Russian troops are moving to occupy the forest, or really they're going after the lancers that will reposition before they get shot. First unit will move out and take position, or the first units, and then the other three will move on the other side. Fighting is starting over here.
Our general is under attack.
The Russian, the Austrian, the Austrian hussars charging headlong into the Janissaries. Not gonna go too well for them. And now the Austrians do have a height advantage. So that's something we'll have to check. Let's run these guys into position, and let's run these three into position as well. Keeping tabs on two fronts at the same time. Those hussars are not coming back. These two units need to be moved up on the side there. The cavalry should ready itself for a charge into that side. And damn it, we were caught out in the open by this little Lancer unit. However, it's quite a small Lancer unit, and I can imagine that my troops can handle it. We'll send over General just in case. Troop numbers seem to be fine. This unit is not firing, so it needs to move up. The units could possibly handle it on their own. This one's definitely weak, the reserve one. Strongest point of the Austrians over here. We're gonna attack that Jaeger company. Now back to here. The new model army troops held, which is good. And we're gonna hold the line against the guards charge. Looks like the Russians are concentrating for a bayonet charge, where they actually did inflict damage on this unit right here. I'm gonna inspire it to make sure it holds. The Austrian commander was killed, probably within that cavalry charge.
Our men are running, sir.
Most of the Austrians... Oh! The Austrians managed to break the left flank However, my cavalry is just running through all of it. Same time over here, my lancers are now coming in. And the Russians had enough. We're gonna just send the cavalry over, take out the cannon. The square obviously get shot to pieces within seconds. Forming so close. They're actually wrapping up the entire flank there, so the entire line will actually pull back. Cavalry will go and deal with these, while we try to reorganize the line. The Janissaries pulling back. The general is then needed over here in the center. We have successfully sent the Russians off. It seems as though the general has managed to escape once more. He was not killed, even though I did see him on the front line. We're gonna take all the new model army. Not all of it actually, one unit suffered quite a lot of casualties, so we're gonna leave that one. They're gonna march over there. The lances are fresh, so they can move over here as well. The reserves getting cut down by my pointy hat soldiers. It's taking longer, just if we can push through and break the unit that way. There we go. Don't need to suffer unnecessary casualties. These Janissaries will get up here. Back on point. You will hold. Right there. The artillery is now concentrated on the few Austrian troops that remain. And yeah, as we concentrate more and more, I doubt the Austrians will be able to hold for much longer, especially now since the new model army troops are turning up to set up in their flank. We should take better positions in the forest, and then the new model army troops should run up quickly. And take positions in the flank of the Austrians and smash them. They're reorganizing, but at this point they're getting shot at from two sides. It's not gonna go well, is it? Leaving the Jaeger unit to be the last unit on the field. Concentrate artillery fire on them. And I bet they will run rather soon. They have probably inflicted quite a bit of damage on us. I guess I could send in the cavalry, but with so much fire going towards that little unit, probably a risk of friendly fire. And if I tell them to hold their fire, the enemy will be able to inflict damage on us without us being able to inflict on them. What we'll do, however, is that as this unit's coming back, we'll send the cavalry to deal with them. Surprised that the Jaegers are still holding, since there's so few of them. I guess we managed to achieve some friendly fire on our cavalry anyways. But being completely surrounded at this point, the Jaegers routed. We lost, what, 15 cavalry troopers there in the end. And we have victory. So without further ado, let's go on and have our second battle as we take charge of the situation and advance into Russian territory. And here is the result of the battle. Out of the 1800 men the enemy deployed, 1400 were lost, leaving only about 400 of them left. We deployed 5,400 men, losing 745. Highest killers goes to those pointy hat cavalrymen. They lost 50 men, but they killed 404. Then we have some new model army units and some old janissaries and whatnot. These cavalry guys seem to be the only one that gained chevron during this battle, but then again, it wasn't a big battle. So the siege... Oh, Bagration seemed to have died on the retreat there. We're gonna hold next to the town. Seems to be fine. And let's advance here. And strike this one. So this one is more difficult than I thought, given that they have one of these grand batteries, which I don't think we can see it, but I imagine it has quite a few guns. I think, if I remember correctly, it has like 10 guns or something like that, so there's a lot of artillery on the enemy side. Heavy cavalry, and quite a bit of light cavalry, and then also 4 units of grenadiers, and then 4 units of local partisans. So an interesting mix of very heavy elite units, and then a lot of militia as well. It's going to be difficult. They have a certain artillery advantage that we need to deal with, and they have I would say they have an advantage in cavalry as well. Infantry, what we do have is we have the numbers. We do have the numbers, but that's about it. With that little bit of an analysis, let's jump into it, shall we, and take on Peter Fyodorovich Salkutin. The Russians have taken position in the middle of the town, more or less. I can see the general in the back here. Hopefully that means that they're gonna place the artillery in there as well, which means that we have a definite advantage, since I have howitzers, being able to drop explosive shots within town while they're figuring out how to even deploy their guns and fire out back at us. Anyways, we have deployed over here, cavalry on the flanks, and then the troops situated behind these embankments. I have the archers here ready to move out, deploy stakes in front of our lines. Might actually probably should have more units moving forward and doing that, but we'll see. Yeah, let's start. So right now I can't see the enemy doing anything, which is perfect, because that gives me time to deploy great defenses to make sure that we can withstand the enemy's cavalry charges. I'll send forwards the Tatars to scout the town. Right now what we're bombarding is the general staff. We've discovered one hussar unit. Deploy spikes. Deploy spikes.
deploy spikes, and... oh, you can't actually deploy spikes.
then necessary to send you forward there. But I would like to protect that artillery position while those guys are moving through. You know what? Since he's moving over there, we'll put these two here. And you're moving back. Oh yeah, I just ordered them to move there. God. Let's see, we're setting spikes all along the line here. There's no way Russian cavalry will be able to break through. Well, the bowmen placed in the back. We've also got the Bedouins in the back. Move back to your positions. Given that they made such a long line of spikes over here, I don't think maybe... Seems kind of like an overkill to place another set of spikes. But look at that, there's no way Russian cavalry will get through. You will go ahead and deploy back here. And then you will deploy spikes. We'll send the Tartars in to raid the city. See if they can't find anything. We have the Mamluks on this side. And then we have the Lancers on this side. We'll put them on the high hill. Why? Where are the Russians? Where are they hiding? There we go. Also, another advantage by sending in the Tartars is they fire in an arc similar to what the howitzers does. So they could be, you know, firing over the house onto the enemy. Oh, and there we see the Grand Battery. It's actually 12 guns strong. And we'll immediately set on bombarding it. Just in time for all the spikes to have been deployed. Oh, the Russians are firing a bit over here. The Tartars' archer fire has only so far killed one Russian grenadier. I was hoping they would be a little bit better. And now with the entire line opening up on them, it's high time that the Tartars made their escape. Let's see, the 12 gun battery is... oh, now it disappeared. Because the Tartars are no longer scouting it. Come back here then. They're not deploying the bloody guns either, so I don't see what the point is. We're gonna send forward the Bedouins then to scout. They're wearing their winter camouflage anyway, so they should go undetected by the Russians. Shouldn't they? If it weren't for the fact that the captain decides he's gonna wear green. And there's a few green caps here and there. And possibly also the fact that it's a scouting force of about 200 men. Now, once again, we have discovered them. The battery has been cut down by 4 guns. And it looks like they're actually deploying it. However, they deployed it in a strange manner. So I wonder if they'll actually be able to fire it. Sounds like someone's not too happy about the Tartars, or it might be that they're not too happy about the Bedouin. The Bedouin will hold fire and wait for the enemy to get closer. Maybe not, actually. We'll pull back, as we don't want to get run down by all that Russian cavalry. I ordered you to pull back. Tartar is about to come under attack, so they will also pull back. Because it looks like the Russians are sending forwards a lot of their force. It's the 4 grenadier units. And 2 hussars are being sent forward. And they're about to run into my spikes. And my entrenched soldiers. Actually, hold fire. And then maybe we should wait for them to get closer before we open fire. They're riding onto the spikes over here. Going through there is the worst place, because then they have to go through 3 lines of spikes. This unit's not gonna do well. Oh, and then we've got arrows coming at them as well. Arrows from the actual kind of elite unit of these Solaklar. Now they're really close, so open fire. Some units shouldn't be opening fire though. Some units here in the back. So now the Russian grenadiers have to advance. Ah, yeah, and the 12 gun battery is now opening fire upon us. So they'll have to move through the archer fire and the oh, why am I putting the general next to where we can see all the gunfires coming down? Let's see, are you guys able to fire? I'm so surprised that so few soldiers out of the archer unit is actually firing. Like there's 2, like a handful of them. What if I redraw you here? And the thing is, they have, you know, a perfect arc into firing into that mess of Russian troops. Why are not everyone here firing?
Our general is under attack.
This unit's the one that's gonna be hit first. I'm gonna inspire it. Because they held their shots until the very last moment, they were able to break that Russian unit. And we were hoping for similar success over here. This could be more dangerous. It's armed citizenry, in fact. We've got arrows flying here as well. The Russians will come back. This is just their first attack. Second attack will not be as strong though. I would call a countercharge if it weren't for the fact that they have loads of cavalry out there still. Kinda want this guard cavalry to get cut down first. And I guess we can just follow up attacking the second attack that the Russians are sending. There goes that unit. Or why even send my troops forward? I've got large formations of cavalry. The Russian grenadiers coming out again for the second charge. Even though they were so damaged and so like they were wavering already before they reached, you saw the morale impact of just that first bayonet attack. And also I realized this unit has lost 100 men.
We have killed their general, sir. Now they must break.
Don't let the Russians escape. Also, I want the cannons to hold fire, as there's a risk of us firing onto our own men. So as the Russian troops are retreating, they run into all this cavalry coming from both sides, sweeping in, attacking, and just cutting down every single unit of the fleeing soldiers. And then with that, just going through all of this. What are the units at the front line still firing at? They're still being able to fire all the way out to this unit. And this. Keep running them down. That entire battery was cut to pieces. And I mean, there's just pitiful amounts of Russian troops now retreating to either side. And victory is ours. Now I think someone said in one of the comments, why don't you attack? Well, imagine if I'd attack and I'd been caught in a bad position without, I mean, my troops cannot form square. Imagine if they'd been attacked by the hussars at the same time as such a deadly Russian bayonet attack had come against me. My army would have been being thrown into disarray within seconds. We need to set this elaborate defense system to break what is probably one of the bravest armies within Napoleon Total War, which is the Russians. They simply do not give up, and with their charge bonus, they're very, very deadly. And I mean, I got arguably one of the worst armies and troop compositions there is to find. So that's why I oftentimes am not maneuvering to attack. If you look at a lot of my other videos from other campaigns, you see that also it is easier to take on the AI by, you know, defending. But there are videos in my other Napoleon Total War 3 campaigns where I say I would definitely on the attack, and in other just videos as well. But with the specific circumstances we are put under here, then we must defend. And I mean, as I said, as you saw, even with the Russians coming in for a second attack, broken down, ready to break any second, as soon as they got in and got stuck in with bayonets, this unit just dropped in morale so quickly. And also you note that this one has lost over 100 men as a part of that. Now there is a lot of dead Russians, but yeah, as I said, now I'm just repeating what I've said before. So, but you can imagine what kind of disaster could happen when you're maneuvering to attack with this aggressive enemy like that, quickly moving into position. With that, we want to see the statistics. How many Russians did actually die? Well, all of them, because it's a town siege, but let's see how many. And here we do have the statistics, so every Russian soldier died because none of them escaped the city, given how the game plays. But I mean, it wouldn't have been more than a few hundred, given how well we slaughtered them. The impressive thing, I think, is the fact that we only lost 300 men. Highest kills goes to one of the old Janissary units. Lost 28 men. Managed to kill... They lost 28 men. Managed to kill 404. And then we have the Mamluks. Managed to kill 361, only losing 9. And those 9 are probably friendly fire, if I have to be honest. But still no chevron for them, which I'm quite surprised. So only 1 chevron with such a massive victory and so many kills being shared among all the troops. Actually, if you look at it, most of the kills are concentrated to 4 units. They get 300 to 400, and then it quickly drops to 3 with about 150 each, and then it drops to most of the units getting about 50. And even less than that. These ones only get 14 each, and that's probably just counting out these and then just splitting them across everyone. But yeah. Victory. There's no point in looting it if we only get 3,000. Go ahead and repair this. Roads in this area is something we need to upgrade at some point. We don't get a lot of gold for it, but it's a strategic point. And what I can see is this doesn't seem to be any more Russian troops coming from... Beringsen. Heavy cavalry. Guns. Jaegers, Grenadiers. Great. That's dangerous, so that's 4 Russian full stacks out and about. I have 2. So in the next video it's going to be interesting to see where they're going to go. But with this already done 2 battles, it's time to end the video before it becomes too long. I hope you guys enjoy this, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye.